everyone, my name is Garrett Overcast, and today I want to explain to you what continuity is and how it is important in any kind of storytelling. If you've seen Back to the Future, then you should remember this scene where Marty McFly realizes that if he doesn't get his parents together, he'll vanish and fade from existence. He uses a photograph of himself from the future to see how much time he has left. He places this picture between the strings at the top of his guitar. However, in the long shots of Marty playing on stage with the band, the photo on his guitar is nowhere to be seen. This isn't as bad as we all make mistakes, although this can pull the audience out of a state of tension as the important indicator of Marty's lifeline is gone. In addition, wouldn't the whole photograph disappear and not just Marty in the photo, as the photo is also from the future? Just some food for thought. This is an example of continuity and how it is broken. Which brings us to our next segment, continuity. Continuity is a major principle in storytelling. It is the consistency in which every scene is shot and how every story is told, as well as how they connect together in later scenes to previous scenes. Plot holes are inconsistencies in a storyline or in a character's development. These form when the written narrative stops following its own logic. An example of a plot hole can be seen in Star Wars. If you've seen the original Star Wars trilogy, then you remember this scene where Palpatine dies by Darth Vader throwing him into a reactor shaft, seemingly to explode and die. However, in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine somehow survives. This film is plagued by tons of plot holes. However, the one major one that everyone dislikes is Palpatine's return. How does he survive his death in Return of the Jedi, you may ask? Well, in the visual dictionary of Rise of Skywalker, they explain that he was kept alive by Sith cultists. However, in the movie itself, they literally do nothing to explain his return in any way, and it never felt right. In addition, another plot hole is how the largest remaining Empire fleet, with a bunch of Star Destroyers, are hidden under the ice for over 3 decades, as if that isn't a weird and tactically nonsensical thing to do. This leads us into story immersion, and how its importance can keep an audience entertained, and how it can be broken with things like Emperor Palpatine's return. So what is immersion? Well, immersion is when you envelop an audience in creating a story so rich that they feel like they're actually in it as an invested protagonist. The importance of this is that stories are powerful tools which can attract more engagement, retention, and real-world behavioral change in audiences that see this. An example of immersion broken properly in a fun storytelling way is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, especially the opening monologue where it establishes that Ferris is quote-unquote sick while his parents are asking him questions while concerned for him and about to go to work. Meanwhile, his sister knows he's faking it, and then when we think this is just going to be another high school movie, he looks directly at the audience and says,
"They bought it."
Now we must ask ourselves, what happens if a previous story sets a principle and subsequent work based on the original contradicts or goes against that principle? This is called retroactive continuity, or retcons. They are a literary device in which established diegetic facts in a story are changed with contradiction, neglection of former continuity, and future renditions of the work. An example of a retcon can be seen throughout the entire Harry Potter franchise when comparing the story from the books to the movies. However, one retcon in particular is a scene in The Half-Blood Prince, the 6th out of the 7 books in the franchise, where Bellatrix and the Death Eater destroy the Weasleys' burrow during the Christmas break. In addition, this scene was entirely made for the movie and specifically to flesh out Bellatrix's character more to the audience. However, the problem in this scene is that it never happens in the books, so questions arise on what the Weasleys do next and how they deal with it, and unfortunately there is no answer from either the movies or the books which explain it. In addition, during Dumbledore's death, towards the end of the movie, it shows Bellatrix taking charge of the group of Death Eaters during the Battle of the Astronomy Tower. But in the book, she was never even a part of that group and wasn't even at Hogwarts. Unlike the Burrow scene, I do like the change in which she witnessed Dumbledore's death and was the one to put the dark mark in the sky. To me, that was a fine retcon, unlike the Burrow scene, which didn't add anything and was just nonsensical filler. This brings us to the positive side of these storytelling principles, in which they keep the audience engaged in the plot, characters, and setting, making the audience feel as though they are involved and are actually in the movie.
No way!
However, whenever the audience negatively responds to these movies, they typically come from breaking continuity, creating plot holes, and breaking immersion in a terrible way. This causes the audience to not be interested and in some instances dislike the media altogether and makes them question the media they are engaged in watching, reading, or playing. In addition to breaking immersion, here's an example of poor immersion through computer-generated imagery. See how fake that scene looked? It takes us completely out of the film and makes us know that it is indeed a film. Fake. That will wrap up my discussion on the importance of continuity in storytelling. I hope you were able to take something away from this small discussion, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.